Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Once again requesting everybody to be seated as soon as possible, all mobile phones put on to silent mode. So the next session coming up is a panel discussion session on rafting, trekking and road expeditions. And may I invite on stage eminent panelist. Our distinguished moderator for this session is Mr. Vinayak Koul, Honorary Secretary, Adventure Tour Operators Association of India. A warm welcome to you, sir. I also invite our eminent panelist, Mr. David Angami, Director, India Trails. Warm welcome to you, sir. Mr. Okan Thayang, Chapter Chairman for Northeast States Adventure Tour Operators Association of India, and Mr. Palab Bhattacharya, Director, Alpine Nature Beyond Private Limited. So ladies and gentlemen, once again, the topic of this session is rafting, trekking and road expeditions, and the time duration is 30 to 35 minutes. And before I hand over to the moderator, I have the privilege of introducing the esteemed panel. Moderator, Mr. Vinayak Koul, is one of the directors of Snow Lion Expeditions Private Limited, and his company under his leadership won the National Tourism Award for the Best Adventure Tour Operator Inbound for 2016-17. He became the youngest honorary secretary of the Adventure Tour Operator Association of India nearly 2019, and prior to that was member of their National Executive Committee from 2012 to 19. He is also a freelance and panel expert with the Bureau of Indian Standards in the category of Auditor 530 for auditing adventure tourism safety management systems. Is promoter of ideology of responsible tourism and leads the pilot project of cleaning drive of Stock Kangri Trail under Ministry of Tourism, atop a heritage project. Being a part of the travel industry for over a decade now and leading trips for his company to peaks ranging from 6,000 meters to 7,000 meters in the Indian Himalayas, Mr. Vinayak has contributed to almost all the verticals in the industry. He was part of the team that drafted the Indian Adventure Tourism Guidelines in 2018. Our eminent panelist, Mr. Okan Thayang, is founder About Country Travels Expeditions, ACTE, is chairman Northeast Chapter, ATOA-I, Adventure Tour Operators Association of India, member board of management for Northeastern Regional Institute of Science and Technology, advisor Arunachal Pradesh, Your Operators Association, joint secretary Indian Rafting Federation, and President Arunachal Sailing and Water Sports Club, and is also member Subcommittee on Tourism for Northeast India, FICCI. He founded Siang Rush, an annual tourism promotion event, recently listed as one of the 40 bespoke experiences made in India by Travel and Leisure magazine. Nominated for Best Tour Operator in India Responsible Tourism Awards 2020. Awarded the Best Tour Operator in Arunachal Tourism Awards 2017, awarded the highest revenue earner in Arunachal Tourism Award 2013, Assistant Director and Production Consultant in Swarna Kamal National Award winning documentary In the Forest Hangs a Bridge, a film about making of a traditional 300 meters cane and bamboo bridge by Adi tribal community in 1999. Mr. David is director at India Trails on ecotourism company that specializes in curating a unique travel experience found on the Northeast. He's also the president of the Nagaland Tourism Association. And Mr. Palab Bhattacharya is founder director Alpine Nature Beyond Private Limited, working in the Himalayan circuit for travel promotion for last 20 years. Ladies and gentlemen, with those words of introduction, I hand over to our moderator. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Am I audible? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Ministry of Tourism, for inviting me to moderate this session on adventure tourism. Thank you, everyone. Welcome, friends. We had a great evening yesterday. I'm sure everybody would agree. The cultural evening was really immersive. And the presentations this morning as well have been very enriched with a lot of information about the northeastern part of the country. A little bit of disclaimer, which I normally do when I do presentations or talk on adventure tourism, and more so on Northeast, that it's nearly impossible to cover the Northeast of India with the immense potential which we have in just 40-45 minutes. However, we'll try our best to do some justice, which time has been allotted to us. Our aim from this session is to leave you a little more enriched than you were before when you entered in the room, when you about the northeastern states and the potential of tourism which we have in this part of the country. If I talk about current scenario, the COVID times, all what we have been speaking about mostly in the last 1.5 years or so is physical distancing, avoiding crowds, respecting your body, being in the nature, in the wilderness. So I feel, and I think most of you would agree, that adventure tourism gives us a lot of hope and scope in the current times, where physical distancing, nature, being in the wilderness, being fit on your fitness levels, physical body, is a given. And it also helps us to remain grounded and be connected with our nature. So adventure tourism is the future in a lot of respects about tourism in the world level and also in our country and more so in northeastern part of the country. Talking about India's potential in terms of tourism and about adventure tourism, if I speak about the world indexes, they are mind-boggling in terms of our natural heritage, in terms of our natural scope of various products. I'll not bother you with those figures which we get from any Google search. The content of the northeast part of the country. We have very eminent panelist speakers over here. I have Oken, who would be speaking about Arunachal. I have David, who would be talking about Nagaland. I have Pallav with me, talking about Sikkim. I mean, most of us over here are well-experienced travelers, been in the industry for long. We all know, you name a type of a holiday, and we have in India. And adding to that, you talk about adventure. Every nook and corner of the country has scope and potential for adventure. In adventure, we have about 30 verticals and broadly divided into land-based, water-based, air-based, and it's a 12-month destination if you talk about adventure. Adventure tourism has the scope of taking India to the next level of being a 12-month destination, whether it's for domestic tourism, whether it's for inbound tourism. Generally, the whole overview, it's India as a winter destination, which we all know is not true. Adventure tourism does give us another ray of hope to take it to the next levels. Economic reach, if I talk about, travel tourism, we all know, takes the money to the remotest parts of the country. It spreads the economic range of the country. You talk about adventure tourism, it brings the money to the last mile even. You talk about organizing a trek, you would need a porter, you would need a pony man, you would need cooks, and they would be getting benefit from the money which a tourist is coming and spending over here in the country, here in the northeast, different parts of the country. I have always felt that to see our beautiful country, our incredible India, one life is not enough. If we go and see what all is there to offer, it will take us ages. I mean, and I feel it's our responsibility also to first give priority to our own country, than moving on to other parts of the world. Let's first our own country and then think about other destinations. I mean, yes, local facilities at times are not up to the mark. People have been saying this about different parts of the country, more so about Northeast. Facilities are missing, connectivity is missing. But over here, I take huge inspiration from our Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji, when a couple of years back on 15th of August, he said, you first travel to that area, give it your support, infrastructure, other developments will follow. And I take great inspiration from that. We all, and I urge you all, and because you would be giving a multiplier effect by talking what you got to know from this session and the whole ITM, when you talk to your customers, when you talk to your guests, that let's travel. Let's open our mind. Let's travel to the places which are not so popular, which do not have those facilities which you might be looking for, but let's give it a try. Yes, you can mix. You can go on a luxury holiday. You can go on a holiday where you have all the facilities, but let's mix and match and go to the less traveled places as well. I always feel that as tour operators, especially in adventure tourism, we have the responsibility of a travel organizer is much more than organizing other kind of a travel. The risk of accidents is part of adventure sports, but there is huge difference between an accident and making a foolish mistake. So I always urge and I request you all to promote responsibly and to organize responsibly. And for customers who all would be listening to us through media and other channels, that you buy responsibly and you then travel responsibly. That is one of the biggest factors which we can take away from this session to make our adventure tourism in the country a more responsible and a more sustainable product for years to come. Guidelines and SOPs for adventure tourism has always been a matter of discussion. A few years back, Adventure Tour Operators Association of India came out with adventure guidelines with support from Ministry of Tourism. It's a lovely booklet. If you all read it out, if your customers read it out, you would be able to improve your operations to a very good level, I would say. Let me talk about COVID protocols as well. More so in the current times, it has become even more important for all of us to follow the guidelines, to be as careful as possible. Your customer is watching you. Your customer is looking out when he's on the trip. And we all know, we do want and we do love our repeat customers. They would only be coming to you if you organize your travels very responsibly. Why I'm emphasizing on this? Because I personally feel for adventure tourism, it is an inherent part of our business and it should be like that. Talking about Northeast, I mean, in the couple of days since yesterday, we all have been seeing about the immense potential we have. And I personally feel with the products which I have been seeing in the last decade or so, Northeast does have the potential to become the adventure capital of the country in the coming years. With this, I thank you all once again, and I ask David to start the session. Give us your inputs. David would be covering Nagaland and special trips, and Pallav would be talking about Sikkim, as I said, and he would be emphasizing a bit on trekking, and Oken would be talking about the trips there and a bit of emphasis on rafting. Thank you. Over to you.
Hello. Thank you. I will be speaking a bit about off-roading expeditions in Nagaland. Now, I think Nagaland and off-roading adventures go very well together, hand in hand. I'm sure all of you have experienced a little bit of off-roading on your way from Dimapur to Kohima. The roads are quite interesting in many ways. That's not because we can't make the roads, it's just that we wanted to make things a little interesting for you on the way up to Kohima. And again, tomorrow as you go to the villages, you will probably experience a little bit of off-roading again. And I hope you see this as an opportunity and, and take it back with you. On a most serious note, I think the government of Nagaland is very keen on promoting adventure activities, especially when it comes to road trips. Now, we've all heard our Commissioner Secretary give a very good presentation on off-roading. He is personally spearheading this entire off-roading experience in Nagaland, and we have developed 1 or 2 circuits which will be out in the near future. So I think this is a very good opportunity for tour operators who are actively involved with adventure activities to come, join hands with us, and take this entire activity to the next level. Now, in the northeast, normally what happens is because the states are small and we all club very closely to each other, road trips normally cover 3 to 4 states, right? So you start your road trip from Assam, you come into Assam, you take a car, you hire a car, you take a driver, you head to Nagaland, spend 2 or 3 days in Nagaland, and then you head to Manipur. From Manipur, you can go to Mizoram. From Mizoram, you can go to Meghalaya, and then end up in Guwahati. So that circuit is extremely a popular circuit, and a lot of our guests who come over the years do this particular circuit. Nagaland, as stakeholders in the state of Nagaland, we have also in our own ways tried to promote over expedition, what do you call it? So we've also tried to develop our own tourist circuits, road trips, road expeditions, and not only for four-wheel vehicles, okay, we like to do it for bikes. We have a lot of groups who are interested in doing adventure biking, and Kohima, they start from Kohima and they go all the way up to Mon in the eastern districts of Nagaland. And these, the roads there are fantastic for biking. We also do a lot of cycling, which is starting to pick up. And finally, the latest addition to our road activities, adventure activities, is ATVs. A lot of people are now investing in ATVs. We hope to have a proper ATV circuit up and running in Pek district very soon. In Mon district, we hope to have another ATV circuit up and running within the next 5 years. So these are activities that we are taking up in Nagaland. As I was saying earlier, Nagaland, the government of Nagaland is very keen on promoting adventure tourism, especially with road trips, road expeditions. You can easily spend 7 days in Nagaland without meeting another person, just driving the roads of the interior part of Nagaland, and it's an activity that is waiting to be exploited by all of us. We in Nagaland, we don't have the know-how as yet. We are still lagging in a little bit of logistics department, and I think people from outside who are experienced in this field can always come partner with us. We will be most happy to join hands with you, to partner with you, to create better adventure circuits, better roads, better systems of operations, and partner with you in such a way that you are able to bring in many more customers to this part of the country. I think that is all I have to say. In case you guys are interested, we have some very dynamic and interesting tour operators running around. You can all meet them during the B2B and then take it forward from there. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Give us a bit of insight how pre-COVID times it has been in terms of the division between the influx of domestic tourism and the foreigner tourism, the inbound tourism. What is your opinion? What has been the percentage, and what has been the change in terms of domestic tourism, also in terms of the inbound tourism as far as Nagaland is concerned?
Well, see, our primary target in Nagaland is domestic tourism, right? We do get a lot of foreign tourists come in, but the bulk of the tourism that comes into Nagaland is domestic tourism. And we feel that in many ways, domestic tourists make better customers for us. They bargain quite a bit, but they end up spending a lot more money, right? So for us, we target domestic tourists, especially from the west and the south. A lot of people travel from the west and the south, and that I think, and during COVID times, obviously with the travel ban, we have had only domestic tourists come in, And we are quite happy with it. Yeah, I mean, we look at foreign tourists, and yes, they bring in money, but so do our own people. Yeah, our own people brings in a lot of money. So for us, it is. I mean, we in many ways prefer domestic tourists coming in.
Thank you. Well, David, I mean, domestic has been a savior for almost everyone in the industry. I would also add to that, as our company personally, as far as my organization is concerned, we have been a lot into inbound business. I would say it's always good for a destination to have a mix of domestic and foreigners. They have, both of them have their own pros and cons. Yes, domestic is always there, doesn't get affected with international issues here and there. But we always have been trying, the Ministry of Tourism has always been aiming for foreigners. I would say the locals out here need to be little more sensitized about how to get those foreigners also here, because once they promote the area and it goes to that international level, it's a different scenario which we talk about. And at the same time, we learn a lot from our foreigner travelers. If I talk about myself and my own organization, I have learned a lot from my customers itself. They come fully prepared and they add to the destination. That's what my feedback would be.
True, true. That is true. See, I'm not saying that we don't prefer
No, of course not.
foreigners. Okay, what I meant was that in many ways, foreigners coming into the Northeast, into places like Nagaland, see, they don't come in with the idea of coming to Nagaland. They come into India. They have 5-6 days that are free, and chalo, we'll go to the Northeast. We'll go to Nagaland. I think that is the perception they come in with.
Okay.
Which is obviously slowly changing with the Hornbill Festival. I think the Hornbill Festival has now become a fairly well-known, renowned.
It is. It's in the 22nd edition of its
Right, right.
existence.
So when foreigners come in bulk, that is during the Hornbill Festival.
Okay.
Otherwise, during the rest of the year, they come in as an add-on to their journey to India.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we would be covering little questions at the end of our 3-panel discussions. We'll also be taking some input from the Ministry of Tourism officials. At the moment, I would move on to Pallab, who will talk about Sikkim. Before that, we have a film on adventure tourism, if our team can play out here. Just a minute, 1.5 minutes film would just little bit lift up your spirits and get us to the next speaker. Thank you. I don't think so any country in the world would be able to offer this diverse products which we have, and we all should be proud of our incredible India. And we just need to work hard, work harder in bringing it to the international level, all our products, all our products. Over to you, Pallab. Pallab, as we are all running a bit late in the day, So I requested David earlier also to cut down about a minute or two, and I'm requesting the same to you as well. Would be nice people, otherwise would be probably eating us instead of the lunch.
Okay. Good afternoon, dignitaries and ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I would like to thank India Tourism and ATOI for giving me this opportunity to talk about a place which I adore so much. Sikkim is a land of bliss, a land of pure myth and a pure Himalayan adventure. In next few minutes, I will try to portray this state with the potential of adventure activities through some slides, which will talk more than me. When we talk about Sikkim, the first image that comes to our mind is the massive Himalayan range with the towering snow peaks that rises more than 8,000 meters in altitude, with Mount Kanchenjunga, which is the third highest mountain in the world and highest in India, that dominates the entire landscape of Sikkim. But Sikkim is much more than that. I will just quickly give you the location. Just a moment. This landlocked Himalayan state is bounded by 3 international countries, with China, or the Tibetan Autonomous Region, occupies the major north and northeastern frontier, Bhutan in the east and Nepal in the west. This actually makes Sikkim a very sensible area from defense point of view. Most of the areas are still restricted and people cannot travel. Here, nature has showered its wealth with more than 70% of forest cover, with high glacial lakes, alpine meadows, and pastures. Sikkim aspires to be the first carbon neutral state in India. This also falls in a very critical biodiversity zone of Himalayas, with many highly endangered Himalayan species of fauna and flora, which most of them is still unrecorded, which is you can find in Sikkim. And if we talk about the biodiversity, Sikkim is a small state. From extreme end of south to the extreme end of north, it's a distance of merely 180 kilometers. But within this short distance, you have an incredible biodiversity features. You start your journey from Rangpo, which is a small border town of South Sikkim, and from there, you start your journey to the extreme end of North Sikkim. It's 180 kilometers. And you cover this distance in just merely 6 hours. And you see the immense variety of altitude from 300 meter to 5,500 meter in just 6 hours, which is incredible. From subtropical to alpine. These are the climate change that you can get here. Broadly, Sikkim is divided in 4 major states: North District, 4 major districts: north, south, east, and west. I will talk about each district with its potential to adventure tourism. First, coming to North District, which is the largest in Sikkim and is the most adventurous and unexplored adventurous areas in entire Sikkim. Although this part of Sikkim is highly popular among the domestic travelers because of the natural beauties and the different type of landscapes. It's a prime holiday destination, the North Sikkim, Lachen, Lachung, that area. But this is also coming up as a very popular adventure activities with lot of adventurous possibilities are there, like incredible road journey to almost 6,000 meter altitude, where you can see beautiful alpine lakes, and you have the immense potential of motor bikings in these trails, and mountain biking is also a popular activities. and then trekking. First, I will talk about one popular motorbiking and mountain biking trail that goes to North Sikkim. This originates from Gangtok, and you cover around 400 kilometers of journey going to the highest point to the source of River Tista. You follow the entire course of River Tista on this trail, and you reach to its source, which is close to Gurudongmar Lake at 5,500 meters. This gives a stunning beauty of, you pass through the Rhododendron Valley and beautiful scenic mountain roads, and to the vast snowfields and the Trans-Himalayan plateaus. This is very interesting landscape because you have actually crossed the Himalayas and you have reached to the other side of it. And it's a Tibetan plateaus, which is the extension of, and it falls and mixes with the Tibetan landscape beyond this plateau. So you ride through these areas and you encounter with an incredible variety of Himalayan fauna, which is very rare and can be found only in these areas, like Tibetan gazelle and Himalayan blue sheep and Himalayan ash, wild ash. This part of the Himalayas has a different kind of Himalayan ash, which is different from Ladakh. This is called Southern Kiang. This is only available in this part. Here in the picture, one herd of Tibetan gazelle is being chased by a Tibetan sand fox. So this type of wildlife experience you can get while you are driving through these trails.
Well,
And
if I may interrupt, you are little.
Oh,
out
okay,
of
sorry,
time, but
because-
I would like to ask that, looking at these beautiful pictures,
Yeah.
and earlier you showed about trekking,
Yeah.
and I have also been operating in this region for a long time, and you are locally based over there. Have trekkings been on a rise or are they going down? That's a curious question which I have had from some of the panelists, some of the people also in the last couple of days. If you can help us a bit with that.
No, trekking is definitely...
And the second one would be that which are the products in terms of whether it's trekking, cycling, expeditions or something new, which are on the rising so that we can learn more about that product.
Yeah, trekking is definitely one major opportunity in North Sikkim. That I was just coming through that slide. That the famous trekking in North Sikkim is the Green Lake Trek.
Yes.
Which is very much, popular for the highly experienced trekkers because it's not a very easy trek. But it takes you to the base of Mount Kanchenjunga. You can see the location. It's among the glaciers, and this is perhaps one of the best trek in the Himalayas, in the eastern Himalayas. It goes from 9,000 feet altitude in Lachen, and it goes up to 18,000
Have the trekkings
feet.
been on a rise? That's what I wanted to ask.
This part of this trek is not on rise in highly in demand.
And the other ones which are the little softer in comparison to, they are even
Yeah,
harder. I know.
Jongri Gochala trek, which is in the West Sikkim.
And I'm talking about pre-COVID times. Don't
No.
take it on the COVID
No,
times.
there hasn't been any such activities after post-COVID.
No, pre-COVID,
Pre-COVID time is definitely this Jongri Gochala trek
Yeah.
was in a very high demand, even for the inbound clients.
Yes.
It's a
earlier when we were-
wilderness treks.
Yeah.
Basically, you have to do the camping in Kanchenjunga Biosphere Reserve.
Yes. Earlier when we were discussing, we were also talking about huge potential which most of our states have, but still somewhere it's lagging, and we were kind of talking about the restrictions which we have in comparison to the other states.
Yeah.
Would you update us a bit on that?
Yeah,
As
that
we
is
have
one
the government
challenge,
also hearing
in fact,
us.
in Sikkim, because as I told that this is actually bounded by 3 different international countries. From defense point of view, this is a very sensible areas. So most of the areas where the adventure tourism can happen, these are restricted. Green Lake Trek is also, it is falling on the highly restricted areas, but the permit can be availed through Home Ministry and the Ministry of Tourism and the Army Department. They can give a prior permit to even for the foreigners. This is a time-taking process, but I believe that if these restrictions are eased, like Ladakh is also a restricted area, but There are several measures have been taken by the government so that people can reach in a controlled way under the guidance of the responsible people. So if that kind of mechanism we can develop in Sikkim, so we have a very good potential to develop this high altitude trekking. Apart from that long high altitude trekking, we also have very short duration treks in North Sikkim, which is also coming up very popular, and not much people know about that.
So Sikkim has been a popular destination for trekking for years, and I see in my audience there are many operators who I have learned from. But personally, I have seen from the interaction which I have had with customers at times or other people at different forums, they're saying we are still lagging somewhere and we can't figure out what is missing. And that's what I was talking to you. You said restrictions. I also felt earlier there were connectivity was an issue there also, but we discussed the other day the connectivity is better now. If you can update us a bit on that.
No, connectivity is no more an issue actually, because Sikkim is very well connected. Bagdogra, we have regular almost 40 flights coming and going every day, which is I think the busiest airport in entire Northeast now. Now Sikkim also have an airport. It has an airport now, but although it is a fair weather airport, but during the season time, which is mostly in autumn and early winter and the spring, the flight can be operated regularly with connectivity with Delhi. And
what are the new upcoming products? What have been the most hot-selling ones in the last 5 years?
I think cycling, mountain biking has a very good scope.
Both for inbound and domestic, or you're talking about?
No, inbound and domestic both. Because there are unexplored terrain in Sikkim which has been open for domestic tourists, but it is not yet open for foreign clients. Like Eastern Sikkim, there is a beautiful trail going through the China and Bhutan and India borders, the Tri-Junction. And there is a great potential of mountain biking and motorbiking both. Domestic tourists are already using that circuit, but we have to wait for Sikkim government to open that for the foreigners.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, still left with your PPT, please?
Yeah, I have, but I don't know whether I have enough time for that.
A minute more. Yeah.
Okay. So, because I think to promote a destination, the visuals only will matter. So, instead, I am speaking about it, let the visual speak, so it will take less time and people can guess that what they can see and experience in those locations.
We'll ask questions in case we have something,
Yeah, Green Lake is, of course, one of the most challenging and beautiful trek in this entire northeastern district. These are some of the visuals that you can get when you are trekking to that altitude. And this perhaps gives the best view of Mount Kanchenjunga and Mount Silianchu. Mount Silianchu has been regarded as the most beautiful peak in the world. And when you see the sunrise from that base, then you understand why these areas are considered as sacred by the people of Sikkim who lives very peacefully far down the valley.
What duration is an average duration for this trek?
This trek from Lachen and coming back to Lachen takes about 10 to 11 days, depending on your physical abilities. People can do it in even 8 days.
And you would grade it in a very hard trek? It's a hard trek? I said you would grade it as a hard trek?
Yes, definitely. It's a hard trek. It's not for the beginners. People with some high altitude exposure, previous exposure, they can definitely do it in 8-9 days. But the altitude variance is very high, from 9,000 feet to 18,000 feet. Then we have Jachu Valley Trek, which is very little known to the trekkers. This is also in the restricted areas. From Thangu, that is the highest village in Sikkim and one of the highest village in the world. It takes about 2 hours, 2 days to reach that area. This is a nomad's land. You can meet the Tibetan yak herders who roam between one place to another. They do not have any citizenship. And it's a dream-like destination. When I visited this place in between July and August, which is the monsoon in entire area, but when you reach there, there is no monsoon because you have actually crossed the Himalaya and you are on the other side of the Himalaya, and their monsoon cloud doesn't reach. So you have the autumn-like sky even in monsoon in India.
So Pallab, I would request you to just stop there, leave us with this good image. and we'll get back to Sikkim when
Yeah.
we do a last
Yes,
bit of our round
yes,
of
yes.
discussion. Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
for your
Thank you
time,
very
Pallav.
much.
Uh, I hand it over to Oken now. Oken is in, most of us over here do know him. He has already been well introduced, and Oken would talk about Arunachal, the scope of Arunachal, and would let us know what else we can do to promote it and how we can make a win-win situation, whether it's for Arunachal or for tour operators over here or for the guests coming in. Over to you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Since we are already behind schedule, I am the guy between here and that Samta's lunch on the other side. So I'll try to be brief as much as I can. So, the tourism is a very broad subject. So is adventure tourism. But briefly, if we have to describe, it's something where you take yourself out of the comfort zone and expose yourself to natural elements and also a bit of a new culture. So, that can be a very simple definition of adventure tourism. But since I have been asked to speak specifically on rafting and about Arunachal, I'll try to get to that. And I'm sure most of you will agree between other adventure activities like whether it's bungee jumping, cycling, or trekking, whitewater rafting could be, as far as me, one of the most fulfilling activity you can undertake. I mean, number one, you're out there really close to the elements, and each day you are exposed to a different landscape, different scenery, and sometimes a different village. And also, there's a physical activity involved. You are supposed to row, so you get to exercise. And, some places, each camping site has a character, and some operators, like my friend Vaibhav Kala and his outfit, Equaterra, they have really amazing campings. They would have things like hot lemon souffle in your menu. So it's a combination of outdoor activities combined with luxury, which is possible. Now, how many of you have been on a whitewater rafting? Can I see your hands up? Okay. And all right, that's probably the 50%. And how many on Rishikesh, if may I ask? All right, I think the same people. So, guys, I think it's time to move away from Rishikesh and bring you to Arunachal Pradesh. We really have, some great rivers. It's out of the world. I've been working with, river runners from all around the world, people from Europe, from India, and they say it's one of the best rivers in the world. I have a friend called Andy Lehman, and has an outfit called, I think it's called Rebex Expedition. So he does this source to the end of rivers in the world. He's done Yukon, he's done Zambezi, he's done Amazon. So, I mean, coming from him, telling me that, Arunachal has some of the best rivers. It's really a compliment and also a pride. So where I come from is Siang Valley, and the river there is called Siang, and in Assam is known as Brahmaputra. And interestingly, Brahmaputra is the only male river in India. Our other rivers are Saraswati, Yamuna, Ganga. So this is interestingly the only male river in India. And it comes from Mansarovar Lake. It's a very, very holy lake, both for, Buddhism and also for Hindu. And, coming from Mansarovar, falling through Tibet at Yarlung Sangpo, and it enters Arunachal, and it's called Siang for about 300 kilometers. So when people are brought to a river like that, and when you explain them the story of the river, and also get them into this kind of experience, so it's really a fulfilling, story you can tell, relate to your friends for the rest of your life. And for me, rafting is such an workout, and and something I like to do at least once in a year. Number one, you get some workout. You pedal, so you have your exercise. And number two, your hands are off the mobile phone for a change. Otherwise, I wake up, first thing I get is my mobile phone. Then you get to your laptop, then to your TV maybe. So constantly, you're gazing at the screen. So it's a perfect example of the term digital detox. So I encourage all of you, come to Arunachal, have a trip on one of our rivers. And some places like the Subansiri especially, you'll be on the river for 4 days and there's nothing on both sides. It's just deep tropical forests and the river. And that whole cleansing process of being on the river for 4 days with no villages, no civilization, so-called civilization, no mobile network, I'm telling you, it would be a life-changing experience. So lots more to say, but
Yeah, you were talking about specific trails and trips. So if a person who has never been to Northeast itself, forget about Arunachal, and would like to travel to Arunachal, what would you typically recommend them? How many days they should be having to at least cover some bit of it? And if they don't know when they are going to be coming back, what would be an average time which you would recommend, and which areas to start with? Okay.
well, frankly, it depends on what the person wants to do or see. And
It's about drafting, I mean.
yeah, okay. I'll definitely recommend Siang. Siang would be a very, very good start because you have section where you float between deep gorges. Then the other section, you'll have two villages on the other side. You can get off for a moment, go and interact with the villages, and you'll have an opportunity to camp on a pristine white sand beaches. So, Siang is definitely.
And it would take roughly about how many days?
Well, you could have a short section of 3 nights and all the way to, it
What
could
about
be 10 days.
longer, 2 to 10
yeah,
days?
it could
10
be
days.
about
And
up
you
to-
would grade it to what level? Level
Well,
2,
we have
level 3?
Plus 4 rapids.
Yeah.
Yeah, plus 4 rapids. Yeah.
Lovely.
Yes.
So, what has been the graph in the last 5 years, pre-COVID again I'm talking about, in terms of the increase in tourism? If you can brief us a bit about, as the focus of the ITM also has been on domestic, and it's an international march, so I'm trying to cover how the things have been in different states of our northeastern belt in terms of domestic and international tourism. If you can brief us a bit.
Yeah, it's growing and people are just traveling to small nook and corners. And then, with the, this increase of bloggers and, people like that who people make videos, however you describe on a written blog, text blog, or on a website, but if you put out a short video of a place, that explains, that increase the lure, in a better way. So people are just getting everywhere. But at the same time, one has to be careful how much you expose yourself. I think India generally, we tend to over promote our product, some things should be.
Our last 5 years,
Yeah.
I mean, if roughly you have to quantify it, has it been more of foreigners coming to Arunachal or more of the Indian travelers coming to Arunachal?
Well, I'd say it's 50-50.
Good.
Yeah,
That's a good sign, I would say.
Yes.
So, okay, I believe you had a video to play
Yeah,
on.
so
and
let
then-
me, as much as I speak, it's very hard to describe, being there. So let me just take you straight to the river. We organize an event called Siang Rush. So it's an 1-week trip culminating in 3 days on the river Siang. So it's a very short one, so maybe a minute and a half. Let me just take you to the.
Post the video, we'll just take up one question each for the states, and then we'll close the session.
Yes, maybe we can have the video played.
Arunachal has a lot of potential for adventure tourism, river rafting. We have so many rivers, and we can really promote adventure tourism. And this is one way of doing it. More and more people come to know about Arunachal.
It's been fun so far, and I think we'll get even more fun when we go for the river rafting.
you. So I'll open up to you, friends. So let me start with Arunachal itself, as we just saw the video. If there's a question, Oken would take up if there are any thoughts or anything which is on your mind. Yes, Vinay.
Well, again, my first trip to Arunachal was 24 years back. And I had a unforgettable experience in Subansiri River. I did bamboo rafting. So do you still have those rafts, bamboo rafts, in Subansiri River or in Siang River?
Well, it's something easy to put together. So we still have plenty of bamboo. So if you want to recreate your trip, most welcome anytime.
Custom made
Well,
and
that will be
tailor-made
very
India
different
always for you.
altogether.
But people still do use those rafts.
Are you still doing it? I mean, still there in the practice?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Can you offer them can you modify those rafts in future for the tourists?
Yes, yes. Why not? Why not?
Please do that.
I mean, traditionally, people still uses that.
Yeah. Yes, that is what I did.
Yes.
For about 2 kilometers.
Awesome.
That was good. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinay. A question for Sikkim, I guess, sir. Thank you. Please go ahead.
And a lot of people from West India, North India, South India, they want to come to Northeast, specifically for Northeast. Now what we are finding is they're bringing in our own vehicles here. So I think we should, on the association level, we should take up with the government that transporting these vehicles as a sports equipment, we should get some subsidy. Because hiring vehicles from here and then doing a self-drive, most of the time people don't find it comfortable driving some other vehicle. I think we should take up this issue with the government level or with the railway ministries to have some subsidized rates on transporting these sports vehicles.
Sure. I guess we all need to have a good mix of having locals engage with us at the same time maintaining the quality, which is kind of a topic we are discussing in most parts of the country.
No, I'm talking about the motorsports because people are more comfortable with their own vehicle bringing in.
Agree.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. A question for Nagaland, please, if anyone has, or Nagaland is well explained already, I guess, from anything for Sikkim. But I think we're doing well in terms of time. Yes, please. Better be a hard one, huh?
No, it's harder for the raptor basically. So when you start rafting from Delhi, it takes about 7-8 days, right? And is this entire stretch navigable through raft, or you have to?
It's navigable.
Entire stretch is navigable. Okay, that's great. And the other one is if you compare the rafting opportunity in Siang with Lohit and Subansiri. So what are the opportunities in the other two rivers?
Well, interestingly, each of this river has a very, very distinct characteristic, in terms of topography and the landscape. Like Siang, I explained to you already, and Subansiri is a river where you are totally in the wilderness for about 4 days. And Lohit is a bit rough, so it's more popular with kayakers. They have short, rapid drops, sometimes like 10 feet drops, things like that. And Dibang is, it's very special and very spectacular. It's joined by Lohit and Siang, and you float into the Tiara area. So, each of them has a different, distinct character.
Thank you. Last question to Rajiv. Huh? He's been with me for 2 days. I can't ignore him.
My question is from everyone. So the new trend that I've been finding, we're getting a lot of queries about survival tours. Like you just go in the jungle with the basic stuff and you just eat out of jungle. You just, survive out of jungle, even creating the bamboo boat you said. So is there such offerings at such moment from the adventure tour or something we are working on? There are such courses available in Costa Rica and many other places.
Yeah, I think it's definitely could be a place where, most of the time when our village youths watches Man versus Wild, they think it's a comedy show, so things So, I mean, something we can really promote here. And then, the wilderness survival is something people do it traditionally, comes to naturally. So it's something we can,
Yeah, post this event, we really love to see such products coming out because
absolutely. I think,
Thank you.
it could be a really good product.
Thank you, Okain. Thank you, Rajiv. Being from Nagaland, and as we have the government hearing us, anything which you would like to recommend or ask or take this platform to raise a concern or something? If not, we can move on.
No, I would. It's not to the MOT, but to our state government. I think it's been 20 years since we've had a tourism policy. It's a very thin tourism policy, which is about 10 pages. It's a very basic one. So I think it's high time to upgrade our tourism policy to bring in things like adventure tourism. I think homestays, rules and regulations for all these are not there also. So I think I'd ask our government to bring out a new upgrade a new tourism policy so that we can incorporate all these new activities coming in, adventure sports. All these things are not there included in the tourism policy. So I think a upgraded tourism policy would be nice. Yeah.
Thank you. And I will take this just 30 seconds more to take this platform to request the state governments and the central government to kindly promote and request the state governments to adopt the adventure guidelines which have been made years back, and also request to start a campaign, and I had requested this to the Honorable Minister also when we met him last month, an awareness campaign for the customers to choose wisely so that we can retain the quality of the operations also from the perspective of a customer. That's all from our side, friends. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you very much indeed. And
just a short one. I just couldn't help but react to what the gentleman just said about survival skills. In fact, in Meghalaya we have a tour operator who tied up with us, and we had a bushcraft kind of expedition which was organized. And in fact, it was just stopped because of this pandemic and all that, but it will be starting soon also in Meghalaya. And we had professionals come all the way from France. They are experts in bushcraft technology, bushcraft survival, and they came, about 3 or 4 of them, and they went to the jungle in Meghalaya and all that without anything, just knives, probably a few tools, and they went to the jungle for about 7 to 10 days, surviving on whatever the jungle gave them, the food, the insects, whatever is there. And it was at the end of that period, then they, at the end of the trip, and then they had a huge feast which was prepared for them and all that. So this was started in Meghalaya, just to add to what we were saying. So this is a kind of a product which can be promoted highly in the Northeast, in fact, not only in Meghalaya, but this group, like I mentioned, Eastern Roots is doing it. Probably they can connect with them also if they want some inputs on that. I just like to add on that since they had raised that particular point.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
thank you very much indeed. And ladies and gentlemen, we thank the distinguished panel on the stage of this session for the wonderful panel discussion we had, and straight away move to the next session, requesting everybody to kindly remain seated while we set up the top table for the next session. Thank you. And while we are waiting for the next session to begin, I would like to take our delegates through the rest of the day's program. After this very important